Well, Brussels has kept a close watch on the referendum. Earlier, the Eurogroup president said there's no way of knowing yet whether the result will embolden other anti-EU political parties across Europe.
I think that everyone who is sure about the outcome of the elections in the Netherlands, Germany and France will probably be wrong. It's very hard to predict. The only thing we know is that voters are much more on the move as they were some years ago. And of course they are critical for the situation. We're coming out of a deep crisis. It has taken a long time. It has affected the lives of many. And people are concerned about that and will express their concern at election time.
So for more on this, let's join Elena Casas, who joins us now live from Brussels. We saw there, Elena, from Jerome Dijsselbloem. He's putting on a brave face, acting cool and calm. But what has the reaction been in Brussels? Are alarm bells ringing?
Well, this clearly isn't the result that anybody wanted to see in Brussels, but it's also one that they were expecting. Renzi has lost by a rather larger margin than was expected, but he certainly was not expected to win. The major concern really in Brussels now is financial. Italy, of course, is the Eurozone's third biggest economy, and it has the biggest public debt after Greece. It also has 286 billion euros worth of bad debts in its banks, which the Renzi government has been unable to spin off into a bad bank. And its third biggest bank, Monte dei Paschi di Siena, is in the midst of a 5 billion euro bailout that's been brokered by JP Morgan, who may now pull out after this referendum result, all of which could leave lots of Italy's banks looking very vulnerable. And if they did start to collapse, of course that would have far-reaching financial consequences. But the EU is trying to play that down today, as indeed are the markets, who seem to have priced it in. Pierre Moscovici, the economics commissioner, said as he went in to a meeting of Eurozone finance ministers earlier this morning that he's confident that Italy can weather this shock. And France's finance minister, Michel Sapin, going into the same meeting, said, well, this is just a domestic political matter for Italians. It's not a vote about the EU, and therefore we aren't worried. So they certainly are trying to play it down. Whether it's really true that they're not worried, of course, is another question. I think that Eurozone finance ministers meeting that's going on at the moment will be trying to work out what to do in a contingency plan in case this does lead to a spiralling collapse of Italian banks.
So do you think that by the officials in Brussels, is this being seen as another rejection of the establishment in the same way that the Brexit vote was, or are there stark differences between the cases here?
Well, it is slightly more complex than that. It's true that Italy's No campaign was led by the populist Five Star movement, who crowdfund their policies on the internet and have ended up with a mix of sort of far left, far right and completely unconventional ideas. Brussels certainly does not want to see them win an election. But there's no guarantee that all the people who voted for no necessarily support them. A lot of mainstream politicians, including former prime ministers in Renzi's own Democratic Party, also supported the no. And while the Five Star movement might be the biggest party in Italian polls, it's a completely different matter whether they would actually be able to form a government, even if a general election were called now, which most observers think it probably won't be. So for all those reasons, the EU is trying to play down any panic at the moment. It is true, though, that other populists like Marine Le Pen have celebrated this result, and they are exactly the kind of people that Brussels doesn't want to feel like they have the wind in their sails.
OK, Elena, thank you.